Now we're going to be going over how to properly light your map. So we're going to be going through these. Now one thing I want to mention right off the bat is that we're going to be calling these things rules, but they're more like guidelines. There are no rules when it comes to mapping. Alright, that's the beauty of mapping and beauty of art, is that you can do whatever you want. But you do want to sort of appeal to your players in a way. So these are suggested. These tips are, these tips are suggested by the best mappers in the game. So you should really get used to using them, unless you're going for a completely artistic and creative map. So let's just jump right into it. The first rule is that every light, and by light I mean entity, needs a source. So if I were to add a light entity over here to make this corner brighter, I would need to add a source as to where that light is coming from, because the light isn't just going to shine out of nowhere. I need a lamp or a torch or something on the wall or on the ceiling, even on the floor if you want. Alright, so every light entity needs a source. There are exceptions. If I want to fill in this corner because it's too dark and I have a lamp like over here, I can put a light entity over here. Just try and keep it realistic. Alright, and the second rule, actually let's go ahead and add a light source. Let's go under here, under this bridge where it's nice and dark. Alright, and let's go ahead and add a ceiling lamp here. Alright, so let's just make something simple. And let's go ahead and offset that texture so it matches or it fits. Alright, now we have a source. So let's go ahead and add some light entities. Now, the second rule is that the source should have one or two or however many entities you need, usually one or two light entities, very small radiuses, just to make the lamp glow. Alright, so it makes it look like it's on. So let's go to our entities page, to our light menu, and let's make a natural light. Now the third rule is that your lighting for the most part should be natural, alright, unless you're going for something super creative and out there and artistic, whatever, like a disco or some sort of party map, whatever. Try and keep your lights natural for most normal maps. So what I mean by natural is not super colorful, so sort of a little bit pale but with a little color. So like this is a little bit yellow, but if we were to turn all the way yellow, you can see that's not a very natural looking light. If you look at your lamp in your on your desk or in your living room, whatever, the lights aren't completely yellow like McDonald's or something. They're a little bit pale. Let's add a yellow light. And actually we're gonna make this a little darker. Alright, actually let's keep it all the way up. Never mind. And we're gonna lower the radius, because these are not lighting up the room, they're just lighting up the lamp. Alright, so let's go ahead and add one of those. The radius doesn't have to be 20, just something small. Pay attention to where your radius lays on your source here. So since this is a nice long lamp, we're going to be adding two of these entities, two of these small lights, one on each end or close to the ends. Go ahead and calculate. And now you can see that light definitely looks like it's on, but it's not lighting the entire room. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy one of these entities so that it has the same values, the same color and everything. That wouldn't make sense if we chose a different color. And then we're just going to scroll and increase the radius so that it lights up the room. Go ahead and calculate. Alright, now this is a little too bright. You can tell by the fact that there's no shadows in the corner, barely any shadows, and there's not a lot of contrast. So that's another thing you want to avoid. That can be, I guess, rule number 4, is avoid too large of entities, I guess, or radiuses, however you want to say that. Only use as large as you need. So let's bring that down a little bit. Now you can see it looks a lot better. There's some contrast in the corner. We can even go down one more. Alright. Alright, so try and keep some contrast, alright? Shadows are great, alright? Don't think that shadows are a bad thing. You want some contrast in your map. Now this light is a little unnatural. Well, maybe not. It's a little green. It came out a little green. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just me and my monitor. But anyway, just try and get something natural and real looking. So that is about it for light fixtures. Alright, now we're going to move on to sunlight and skylight and ambience. Alright, so there are 3 different values you can change in terms of lighting that aren't light entities. Alright, so this is lighting that's going to be generated by the map and the environment itself. So that would be your skylight, your sunlight, and then your ambient lighting, which ambient lighting is more like the shadows. It's not really lighting, it's just brightening up the shadows in your map, or the ambience, if you will. So let's go ahead and change the skylight first. Type /skylight and I'll show you. By default it should be at 0. I do have it at 100, 100, 100 for this map. Usually whenever I start mapping, the first thing I do is add some skylight, because you can see what it does. It sort of adds a little bit of light to your map, and you can see things a lot clearer and more 3D. If I go ahead and hit L and turn full bright off, this is what the map would look like without any lights at all. So I usually like to add some skylight. I have that at 100, 100, 100, and you should know that the color values by now in Sour are red, green, blue in that order. So 100 for red and all the way across, so that would make a solid gray, alright, because all the values are the same. Let's go ahead and play around with that. Let's do 50, 75, 120. I have no idea what this is going to be. Alright, very blue. Alright, and then actually let's go ahead and do the opposite of the color spectrum. From this bluish color would be orange, red. So let's go ahead and use sunlight now. /sunlight. By default that is also 0. Let's do some 200, 160, 100. Alright, so this is obviously not very realistic, but you can get the idea. Still looks a little cool, I guess. Now with skylight, there's only one command, just skylight. Alright, you can't change the direction, the pitch, anything like that. It's just straight down on your map. Sunlight though, you can change the pitch and you can change the yaw. So what do I mean by that? If we have a skybox with the sun, which I don't, actually let's go ahead and choose one. Alright, this one, let's find the sun right there. If I want to make it look like the sun is coming from over there, not straight down like it's 12 o'clock, I can change /sunlight yaw. Actually, let's do pitch first. Sunlight pitch. And you can see by default it's 90, which is straight up and down. Let's go ahead and lower that to 60. Alright, and you can see it sort of casts the shadows away from the wall a little bit. So it looks like the sun is coming from over here. Now we can do from there one of 2 things. If we like the shadows where they are, we can yaw the sky. So /yaw sky. By default it's 0. Let's go ahead and play around with the values to figure out where it would fit. Alright, so there we have the sun about where we want it to be to match the shadows. But if we want to change the shadows themselves and keep the skybox how it was, let's go ahead and switch the yaw sky back to 0. Let's try and get the shadows to match the sun. So we're going to do /sunlight yaw. Alright, default 0. Let's go ahead and try 300. And this is going to be sort of a trial and error. Alright, so that's a little bit completely opposite pretty much. Let's do 50. Alright, that looks a little better. That actually looks spot on. Alright, so there are the 3 commands for sunlight. And the last thing we're forgetting is ambience. So /ambient 25, 25, 25. Let's get rid of this skylight for now. 0. Calculate. Alright, so the ambient, or ambience, is going to be all the shadows. Anything that's not lighted by either sunlight, skylight, or a light entity. So since we took away the skylight, it's pretty much all these shadows here. By default, it's 25, 25, 25. So that's a dark gray, which obviously the shadows are right now. So we can play around with that color. Let's do ambient. Let's do 25, 15, 0. And that's going to give us a sort of a red-orange. All right. Now we can change the color, or we can just bring it down to add some more shadows. So let's do 15, 15, 15. Alright, so that's a little bit darker. It adds some more contrast. We can even go all the way down to 1, 1, 1. And that's pretty much pitch black, so if we go up to it, we cannot see anything. Alright, so you can play around with all three of those values, come up with a cool combination of lighting to really make your map stand out. And that's about it for lighting.